today at Goodyear Ballpark. Sun is still shining, some clouds in the sky, and the Indians getting set to host your League Baseball. Just a little chillier than they're accustomed to, but it's under the sun, and we are ready to go as big left-hander for Cleveland has taken the hill. And the Dodgers will have A.J. Pollock leading off. Mookie Betts was in the lineup, but I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. But it'll be Pollock, then Corey Seager and Justin Turner, Max Muncy. Those will be your first four. Chris Taylor will be at second base today. Austin Barnes behind the plate. Edwin Rios, the designated hitter. Zach McKinstry will be in right field batting eighth. E.J. Peters, the late insert into the lineup, will bat ninth and play center field. And they will face left-hander Sam Hentges. 6'8", 245 pounds. He's 24 years of age. Had a tough time in Double-A 2 years ago, but they feel that the frame and the stuff is good, and they're hoping that he can develop into a middle of the rotation kind of guy for the Indians.
Tim, the good news is, and you mentioned Mookie Betts originally was in the starting lineup to bat leadoff and play in right field. Well, Dave Roberts addressed the media. He says, look, first of all, Mookie Betts is fine. He says there's nothing going on. They just decided to keep Mookie Betts back at Camelback Ranch, Glendale. He will get his work there this afternoon versus being at the game in Goodyear, just a few miles away.
Well, Dave Roberts continuing to manage his people. That's what he does. He'll manage the individual here in spring training, depending on what is best for them to get them prepared for the regular season. And Corey Seager seems like he's ready. He has been on fire so far in the spring, as he has gone 7 for 16. But A.J. Pollock now moves from the middle of the lineup to the top of the order, and the Dodger left fielder will start us off here this afternoon. It will be the 13th game in the Cactus League season. Dodgers 6-3-3. The Indians are 6-6. Dodgers played the Mariners to a 4-4 tie in 7 innings last night. As Rick had mentioned earlier, we will play 8 innings today. So A.J. Pollock stands in, and Hentges delivers strike one, and we are underway this afternoon.
Well, much better conditions today than a few nights ago down at Goodyear, where the wind was blowing out at 25 miles an hour.
Well, one pitch is inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, you never minded those days when the wind was blowing out 25 miles an hour.
Well, it's reminiscent of what happens, and straightaway center field is really to the northeast as far as the layout of the stadium. So this is a good day to work.
1-2 to A.J.
No, when the wind's blowing out 25 miles an hour, it's reminiscent of what Wrigley Field can be. And trust me, when visiting teams leave their local hotel playing at Wrigley Field against the Cubs, they know full well, they check the flags atop the buildings. They know which direction the wind's blowing before they get to Wrigley.
That's right. 1-2 pitch. That's up by 2-2. Yeah, I think a lot of guys, as soon as they look out the hotel room window, if the wind direction's not the way they want it to, they'll wait a while, look out again. Because that ballpark, it's 2 different parks depending on which way the wind goes. 2-2, chased one, got away, and he'll trot down to first, but the throw down by the catcher Roberto Perez is there in plenty of time. So strikeout 2-3, the put out, and there's one away in the top half of the first inning as Sam Hentges gets the strikeout.
And a curveball here, it's in the dirt. I really felt myself as going back into careers from a hitter standpoint. The curveball in particular, I thought the slider and the changeup too, anything but the fastball. That was what took a little bit of getting used to and really tracking the pitch.
Fastball outside, ball 1. 2 seasons ago, in his last full season, Hentges threw the fastball nearly 60% of the time. He relies on the 4-seamer. Right there, getting it past Seager, 1-1.
No, he's the big guy, as you mentioned. He stands 6'8". He's had 7 games at the major level, a couple of starts. So he just in and out very quickly.
Throwing downhill 6 feet 8 inches, and then on top of the 10-inch mound. 60 feet 6 inches away from the plate. 2-1. 3-1.
Corey Seager, like any other hitter, when you're red hot early going in spring training, you will constantly hear teammates and other people say, hey, look, don't leave it in Arizona, don't leave it in Florida.
On the ground right side, diving stop by Hernandez, and gets it to first on the hop to retire Seager. So Cesar Hernandez, the longtime Philadelphia Philly, with a stellar play here. First defensive chance for the Indians today.
Hernandez had spent 5 years with the Phillies, so a chance to come over here and show his wares for the Indians. Well, last year were 10 games over the 500 mark. They were 35 and 25.
2 down as Hernandez robs Seager of a hit. Justin Turner 3 for 14 this spring. Take ball 1 inside and low.
I still marvel at Justin Turner and anyone else that has that leg kick. Justin starts with a wide open stance, then the leg kick, and the stance closes a little bit. But start to think of the timing. How high do you raise the leg? On the off-speed pitch, do you hold the leg up into the air? I mean, there's so many different moving parts just to set up in order to get the barrel of the bat through.
At the knees for a strike.
And what a career Justin Turner has had since coming over the Dodgers. I mean, you start to think about the New York Mets. He was fighting to find a playing time, and comes the Dodgers and say, well, what he's been able to do, why did he not find playing time?
Ground ball that's off the glove of Henches. And first and plenty of time as Jose Ramirez was able to grab it and throw him out. 3 up, 3 down for the Dodgers in the top of the first. Walker Buehler coming out when we return. Then Jimenez, Jose Ramirez, the veteran third baseman, will be out there. Eddie Rosario to follow. Franmil Reyes, the designated hitter today. Former Padre Josh Naylor in the outfield. Jake Bauers at first. Veteran catcher Roberto Perez, the backstop. And Oscar Mercado is in center field. And here's Walker Buehler starting his 3rd spring training game here in 2021. And he starts off Hernandez with ball 1. Walker getting himself ramped up for the season. Big game butane right there. I mean, he has had such great performances in October. When it counts, he shows up. Not that he doesn't show up the other times, he certainly does. But when big things are on the line, Walker Buehler is there. He would have been the starter in Game 7 of the World Series had it gone that far. In fact, he went out to the bullpen late in Game 6 just in case he was needed.
We're going to be looking at for Walker Buehler the consistency of the command of the strike zone. He seemed to be a little bit out of sync a couple of different times in his 2 previous outings. It is so fine as far as the rhythm, the mechanics, and the value of a pitching coach who is so familiar as Mark Prior is with these Dodgers pitchers to be able to eyeball something that's a little bit out of whack. And the first curveball that he throws, and that one was left up in the strike zone.
You constantly hear through this time in spring training pitchers ahead of the hitters, but I think you're going to find a lot of pitchers arguing that point because they're not where they want to be. And as a group, pitchers might be ahead while the hitters catch up. As Buehler gets strikeout number 1.
Well, he came back with a good curveball too. The preceding one was not as great as Walker Buehler normally throws, but this one, this is a lot better.
Andres Jimenez made his big league debut last year with the Mets. This is his first year in the Indians organization. Jimenez, the shortstop today. Down in the count, 0-1.
Yeah, came over along with Eddie Rosario, who's playing in left field, batting in the 4 spot today.
Walker unleashes one and hits 0-2. I think sometimes pitchers do have to hit the brakes at times during spring training games, knowing that they're not fully stretched. They'll let it go every once in a while as Chris Taylor throws out Jimenez. 2 down. You still hear them say, well, we're working on things. I'm working on a few things.
Exactly. I mean, you want to get guys out, but the biggest thing is to get your work in. Is there a deficiency that you feel that you need to address in a particular game with live hitting and standing at home plate versus throwing in a simulated game or just live batting practice with hitters in there?
Switch hitting third baseman Jose Ramirez takes a strike. So 10 pitches for Buehler. 9 of them have been strikes. Pretty good start. 2 down, bases empty. Curveball taken for a strike. Ramirez got a really good look at that one.
Yeah, the only one that's not been a strike was the one bad curveball, the first one he threw, but he's dialed it in since then.
One ball, 2 strikes. 2 outs. Walker Buehler throwing the first of what we expect would be 3 innings today, but this is an 8-inning game. We'll see if he goes 2 or 3. And he strikes out Ramirez on a high fastball. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Buehler. No score after 1. Second inning with Rick Monday, Tim Neverett. Glad you're along. Tanner Boyle there in the middle, or Kelly Leak, one or the other. Fans having a nice. There he is. Boy, Coach Buttermaker did a great job with them, didn't he? Anyway, Max Muncy leading off, facing Hentges. Big left-hander out of Arden Hills, Minnesota. And Muncy just 1 hit so far in the spring, 1 for 12. So he's looking to get going. You know, it's funny. Sometimes guys really get going early and then they tail off late. Sometimes guys start late and then finish hot. Sometimes just they don't get going until the regular season. You see all kinds of scenarios as you get deeper in spring trainings over the years. But Max a little bit slow to start. And the 1-2 on the way. And he fouls this off.
A slow start for Muncy as far as the average, just 1 hit, but already has 5 walks.
And that is a key thing. He gets on base.
Well, that's a key thing with this Dodgers offense as well. And it's one of the things that they have put great emphasis on, is it getting good pitches to swing at to begin with.
Chases one up high and he strikes out. Second strikeout for Hentges.
Which that pitch did not really qualify into that argument. But when you have 2 strikes, you're trying to protect things, but that would have been a ball. For example, in the playoffs that they swept the San Diego Padres. Yes, the Padres, their pitching was not really stellar as far as the accuracy, but the Dodgers in those 3 games had 20 walks.
Yeah. 20 trips down to first and
absolutely
20 potential runs.
There's no way to tag out a runner that walks, at least not down the first baseline. Even if they get hurt going down the line, you can get a pinch runner.
That's right. Trip over the chalk line or 45-foot line. Here's a 1-0 to Taylor. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes to Chris. Playing second base today. Goodyear Ballpark, shared by the Cincinnati Reds and Cleveland Indians. So it seems like the Dodgers have been here quite a bit in recent days. It's because they have. And these 2 teams will play each other one more time on the 27th of March at Camelback Ranch. That'll be the final spring training tune-up in Arizona for the Dodgers before they head back to Southern California for the 3-game Freeway Series with the Angels. They'll have 1 game in Anaheim and then 2 at Dodger Stadium before heading off to Colorado for opening day April 1st.
Hey, Goodyear's a good trip, actually, from a time standpoint. Maybe a 20-minute drive from Camelback Ranch, Glendale. You're not having to go across metropolitan Phoenix either.
Taylor draws the walk. Yeah, that's also important.
Well, Phoenix and Scottsdale, you can add Tempe now to it as well. Yeah. It's a different look. If you've not been there in about 15, 20 years, there's this thing called traffic now that has gone over to the Phoenix area.
Well, what happens is these game times are, you know, in the afternoon, and when you get out of the ballpark, you're right in the middle of rush hour traffic. So it takes you a while.
Well, it's the Valley of the Sun, but it can also be the Valley of congested freeways.
But you know what? I take it in Arizona, the travel in Arizona over Florida any day. Because
well, it's not as long distance, especially if you have to go coast to coast.
Yeah, you have so many long drives in Florida. And you have some short ones. But you think about the Phillies and Blue Jays, they're right next door, and the Yankees are right by them. But other than that, if you have to play the Tigers, you got to go to the middle of the state.
Well, the closest for the Dodgers at Dodger Town at Vero Beach, Florida, was Port St. Lucie. That was about 32 miles.
It's not too bad. But if you're at Fort Myers and you have to go to Port St. Lucie, that's a 3-hour drive one way. 2-0 to Barnes. That's high. 3-0.
Dodgers years ago got through the travel cross state rather easily when they had their own airplane, the Boeing 720B, when Captain Lou Carlisle was at the controls. They would actually fly because the crew needed airtime as far as flight hours.
3-1 to Barnes. Yeah, you were in the cockpit of that plane.
And when they left Vero Beach, Florida, they used every bit of the 7,000 plus feet. And looking beyond the right field fence is Goodyear Airport, where they have a mothball field.
The ground ball down to short. There's one. And there's the inning-ending double play. So Henches was having a problem finding the strike zone, but bailed out on the twin kill. Inning and a half done, no score. Out on the beach blanket, watching the ball game. First ball swinging is Eddie Rosario, and it's right to Max Muncy. 1 pitch, 1 out for Buehler in the second.
Well, the Indians hoping for some better offense. They were 23rd in Major League Baseball as far as the team batting average. They were 24th in runs scored. They didn't give up a whole lot of runs. Terry Francona, the manager, out of the University of Arizona, and played with his dad, Tito, with the A's. The final year that his dad, one of the nice human beings, played in major leagues.
Franmil Reyes takes strike one. Terry's got that reputation too around baseball, just being a good guy and fun-loving guy, and he likes to tease when he gets to know you.
Well, to this day, I call him Kid, because with the A's, when school was out, he would join his father and we would play catch, and he was about 13, 14. He'd say, "Hey, kid, you want to play catch?"
1-2 to Reyes.
And with Francona, you just wonder, what would his major league career had been had it not been for knee injuries and subsequent surgeries that he had. He's a terrific hitter. Just a delight for baseball, and a wonderful manager. He understands people. You and I were talking about this earlier today. He can size people up very easily. He's not trying to figure you out, but he has a good feel.
2-2 to Reyes. Line shot left field on a base hit.
Which I think if you're comparing both of these managers, they both fall into that same category. Is that they understand people. They have great relationships. They have obviously deep knowledge of the games, but they're able to paint different palettes for different players that, we all learn differently. And Dave Roberts understands that. Terry Francona understands that.
Understanding the individual and the needs of the individual so you can get the most out of them. Josh Naylor, we saw last year. I think the last spring training game you and I did together was in Peoria with the Padres. That was before the shutdown, maybe a day or so beforehand. And Naylor hit a triple in that game for San Diego. And he hits a single here. So now with one out, 2 men are on.
Naylor with 40 games with the Padres last year. Tell you what, if he's still able to go upstairs and hammer that fastball, As the Dodgers had the shift on to the right side of the infield, but for Naylor, he's aboard with a base hit.
They were talking about Terry Francona. You know, he's managed in Boston, here in Cleveland, was with the Philadelphia Phillies before that, but probably one of his most memorable managerial seasons was in 1994, before he was in the majors. Ground ball to Muncy. They'll take the one they can get, flipping to Buehler at first. Runners advance. Reyes to third. Naylor to second. 2 men out. But that was the year that Francona had managed basketball great Michael Jordan in Birmingham with the Barons in Double-A. They were the White Sox Double-A club. And Francona and Jordan, when they were on the bus that Jordan purchased for the team, he had to have an upgrade, so they got a $350,000 bus, or he did. But they had Yahtzee games that would go all through the night, keeping the players and other staff members up. But they were so competitive together, and his relationship with Michael Jordan continues to this day. They still hear from each other often. But he had a great experience managing a superstar from another sport. Everywhere they went, it was like a big league game. It was a sellout. High fly ball, right center field. DJ Peters calling for it. And the Indians will strand 2. So 2 hits given up, but no damage done. We'll go to the third. Dodgers nothing, Indians nothing. The man and struck out 2. Well, Pleco facing the bottom part of the Dodger order in the top of the third inning in a scoreless Cactus League game. He gets ahead of Edwin Rios. Pleco was originally drafted by the Astros and had a chance to sign. And he was a fairly high draft choice. I want to say 6th round, right? Something like that. And a lot of times 6th round guys out of high school, they're going to sign, but he decided not to. He thought that he could improve his draft status. He went to UCLA instead.
Well, he didn't just go to UCLA. He was 29-10. The other thing for Pleco, and I think it really kind of boosts the overall look that clubs have, because he played the biggest collegiate stage that you can, not only UCLA, but also in the College World Series. And you see the talent level and how they respond to really the tough competition. And it was to his plus side to be able to compete in the College World Series.
And when he finally came out into the draft, it was 3 years later in a pretty well-stocked draft. He ended up dropping to the 11th round. But the Indians grabbed him, and it's been all about the Indians ever since. And he strikes out Edwin Rios to start the third. But yeah, I mean, you're right about the College World Series. Not only you're playing against the best competition, but they're in high pressure and high leverage situations. David Price, speaking of leverage, will he come in leverage situations, or will he start, or will he do both? But he's getting up, and we'll see him pitch for the second time this spring. Oh, 1 to Zach McKinstry. Popped him up. And the shortstop Jimenez will make the catch. 2 down. Number 9 man, DJ Peters, to face Pleco.
Everybody will remember that phone call that they get about, hey, we've just drafted you and signed you. Pleco, he will not forget it at all, because they called moments, I mean moments, after he had just uttered 2 words, I do. He had to take a voicemail. He was a little busy.
Yeah, he was making another commitment. A pretty important one.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1-1 to DJ Peters. Fouled off the mask of Roberto Perez. And it's 1-2. 2 down, bases empty. In the top of the third inning of an 8-inning game today. In 2 more days, you'll start to see some more 9-inning games. But as of the 14th of March, a couple of things will happen. Teams will be able to agree on length of game, but no shorter than 7 innings. So 7 would be the minimum. Currently today, it can be 5 innings or 6 innings as a minimum. But as of the 14th, the minimum will be 7. We'll probably start to see more 9-inning games as teams ramp up, and as National League teams start to get pitchers in there, maybe the 3rd, 4th time around they start getting pitchers some at-bats in games. The other thing that's going to happen in 2 days is the enforcement of the 3 batter minimum rule. Right now you don't have to do that, but you will starting the 14th. DJ Peters goes down on strikes. Adam Plutko strikes out 2. It's a 1-2-3 inning. MLBshop.com. Check out the new 2021 gear and shop the largest selection of official caps, t-shirts, hoodies, collectibles, and more. Gear up with the Dodgers at MLBshop.com. Walker Buehler, 24 pitches after 2 innings. He'll start here in the 3rd. And he is facing the catcher Roberto Perez, who was supposed to face him. The first pitch is fouled off. And this will be Mercado instead. Actually, it was Perez that made the last out in the 2nd inning. There's a ground ball to second base, and Mercado is out, so 4-3 the put out.
Well, Mercado might want to just stay under the radar anyway, because last year was strange for all of us. A disaster for him. 17 games, hit a $128 was all, and then they called him into the office and said, you know, you need some more seasoning. But when you're optioned out and there was no minor leagues to be played, he had a difficult year.
Cesar Hernandez with an 0-1 count on him. He's 0 for 1, struck out in the 1st. Well, this year they'll have a season. This year there will be developmental baseball, 120 games worth at the AAA, AA, and the multiple single A levels. 0-2. So hopefully a lot of these players who are hoping to be on track or be a little more advanced than they are will get those opportunities to work on their game, continue to develop, and continue to advance this year. A line drive to center and a base hit. Did you see the rules, Rick, that Major League Baseball wants to use the minor leagues to experiment with?
Just about to bring that up, is that they're going to be going to the minor leagues and they're going to have to study up on different rules because there are some changes. And it's not just blanket changes. There are changes in AAA, AA, High A League, and also the Low A League.
Andres Jimenez grounded out to Chris Taylor at second base, first time up. 1 on, 1 out. He tries to bunt. That's foul. Yeah, the interesting thing, the size of the bases will be increased by 3 inches all the way around at the AAA level. I want to see if that's a safer.
Which means they're going to be
mechanism.
18 inches square.
Right. Instead of 15, it'll be 18. Runner goes, and he'll be safe as Austin Barnes couldn't get a handle on the baseball. Runner at second and 1 out now. Will it make a difference? Because technically now, when you take out the measuring tape with bigger bases, they'd actually be closer from home to first, closer from first to second, just a little bit.
6 inches. 3 inches on one base, 3 inches on the next base.
That's half a foot.
I would like to have been at that roundtable discussion because baseball said the rule changes being tested, and this is for AAA, will reduce player injuries and collisions. The shorter distances between the bases created by increased size to have the modest impact on the success rate of stolen base attempts and the frequency with which batter runner reaches base on ground balls and bunt attempts.
So
the caveat to that is bunting is not used as a weapon now, and the running game is perceived by many people that are making decisions in baseball is that you are giving away an out.
1-2, got him looking. Third strikeout for Buehler this afternoon. 2 men away.
Yeah, I don't understand how moving a larger base from 15 inches where the bases are right now square to 18 inches. When you say it's going to increase the action on the base paths, reducing it by 6 inches.
Jose Ramirez, big cut and a miss. Yeah, if it does, let's say we find out it does increase stolen base attempts. I mean, I think fans would like to see more of that, more guys trying to advance on their own, more stolen bases.
Well,
stroke to right field. That's a base hit. McKinstry comes up throwing, and he holds Hernandez at third base.
There's another dimension on what Zach McKinstry can do. Charge that ball exceptionally well. Ball was hit hard. But this is where the coaches are really kind of sitting down and looking and seeing what players are doing. Okay, a one-hop line drive and then a one-hop throw to his catcher at home plate. So those are all little things that is a positive stance for McKinstry, who has been able to show his wares in a couple of different positions this spring already.
So Buehler back to work with 2 men out. Eddie Rosario, the left fielder, the batter, 0 for 1. Grounded out to Max Muncy at first base for the first out of the second inning. There goes second, and a bluff throw by Barnes. So now 2 men in scoring position as Jose Ramirez takes second base.
Getting back to the point, is it going to increase with the bases being larger, therefore reducing the space between second and third and first and second by 6 inches? Home plate remains the same size unless you change the philosophies of the game of baseball now, which is getting away from stolen bases unless you have blazing speed. It's getting away from the bunting, especially sacrifice bunts, because you don't want to give away outs. It'll be interesting, and that's not the only rule.
No, that's just at AAA. They're going to focus on the bases themselves at the AAA level. In the air, shallow left center, and the Indians get on the board as Pollock gets the ball back onto the infield. Both Hernandez and Ramirez come in, and it's 2-0 Indians.
Well, the Indians here, it has paid off with a couple of stolen bases, and the second stolen base gets a runner in scoring position, an additional one. It was a curveball and not one of the best that Buehler has thrown. The ball was not hit exceptionally hard, but that breaking ball was left out and over the plate.
Well, one thing that has been a positive for Buehler is his strike percentage so far today. He's working on that. 39 pitches, 32 strikes. But curveball was left up too much, and Rosario dunked it into left center for a 2-run single. Franmil Reyes with a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
Reyes, I'd like to see that fastball again. He was all over it.
Ball and 1 strike. Pitch cut on and missed, 1-2.
Reyes is going to be the full-time designated hitter. Last year in that spot, 9 home runs, 34 runs batted in. But the number 4 hitters for the Indians last year collectively hit below the Mendoza line. as did the 7th place hitter and the 8th place hitter.
Runner goes as they are just running wild today on the bases. And that's the 3rd stolen base this inning for the Indians as Rosario swings.
And the other
second.
thing too about Walker Buehler, he has not changed his cadence at all. He's not come set, held on to the baseball. And Austin Barnes has not had many opportunities really by the time he gets the ball to even have a chance to throw out a runner.
Another man in scoring position for the Tribe. And here's the pitch to Reyes. Swing and a miss. And Buehler strikes him out, but 2 runs come in on 3 hits. And the Indians get on the board. We'll head to the 4th. Cleveland 2, the Dodgers nothing. Interesting story. Anthony Goes, former outfielder. He's out of Bellflower, California. Former 2nd rounder by the Phillies back in 2008. Who was a speedster on the base paths. And reinvented himself after things were not going to work out for him as a position player. Wanted to pitch and went with the Tigers and started at the bottom. Went back down to the Florida State League and Advanced A. And he has worked his way here to Cleveland, getting a shot as a non-roster invite with the Indians. Facing A.J. Pollock. A.J. swings at the first pitch, drives it to center. Back after it, Mercado. And Pollock retired.
I don't know how many guys have ever gone from a position player to being a pitcher. We were talking about this in between the half innings. His first full season Goes had 76 stolen bases. 2 years later had 69 stolen bases. Terry Francona saw him throw on the mound actually just a few days ago, and he tickled the century mark, 100 miles an hour.
He's certainly got some athletic ability, no doubt about it. Facing Corey Seager. Seager 0 for 1. He grounded at second base in the first inning. 1 ball and 1 strike. 97.
Took something off.
Yeah. So he's got a lively arm, and now they want to try to figure out how to use it.
Yeah, well, Francona was also talking about the fact is that, interesting story, no question about this young man that comes on, but Terry was talking about, look, one book closed and another one opened up for Goes.
It's a curveball in there.
Very interesting and cool story.
He rose through the Blue Jays organization after leaving the Phillies. He made his major league debut in 2013. I beg your pardon, 2012. And split time between AAA Las Vegas and Toronto. And then the next year, the affiliation was moved a lot closer, so he was in Buffalo for a lot of the year, and then Toronto for about a third of it. Getting an awful lot of opportunity at the big league level as he strikes out Seager with a 98-mile-an-hour heater.
Yeah, and the other story too is that Seager doesn't have the ball thrown by him that often. Goes went to spring training last year, the chance to do something. Obviously, cut short with the COVID along with everybody else. But then he got sick. He went to play some winter ball, got sick, had to come home. So he's really been battling and battling and battling. It's a credit that he's here and saying, hey, I'm still trying to hook on now as a pitcher and stay here.
Strike called to Justin Turner.
He throws that curveball along with a fastball near 100 miles an hour. He's going to stay.
Well, certainly he's opened up some eyes in the Indians organization. They're trying to figure out how they can use him. Turner pops this one up. Shallow right. Coming in is Naylor. And he'll make the catch, and it's another quick inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Dodgers in the 4th. Just today at a very high strike percentage. Allowed 5 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 4, didn't walk anybody. Important to have a 0 in that column too. as the Indians lead the Dodgers 2-0 going to the bottom of the fourth inning. And left-hander Dick over. He makes his second start. He last pitched on Monday against the White Sox at Camelback Ranch.
David Price was scheduled to make his Dodger debut exactly 1 year ago today. Why is that significant? Well, this was the day 1 year ago that baseball was shut down.
Naylor, first ball swinging to right center. DJ Peters fighting the sun, makes the catch. One pitch, one swing, one out.
I was surprised that Peters took the ball because actually McKinstry had a better angle as far as the sun position.
Buehler just going to wrap up his work, finish things up in the bullpen. Throw a few more pitches and call it a day.
Tim, I thought the statement by David Price was a big statement for David Price and the Dodgers when he came out and publicly said and told his manager Dave Roberts and everybody else in the ball club, whatever you need me to do, you need me out of the bullpen, I'm your guy. You need me to start, I'm your guy. Whatever decision is going to be made, you might weave your way through the season and that may change, but for him to come out and make that statement was I thought was a really a big one.
I think he's just trying to demonstrate that he is a good teammate, and I think that goes back to the pandemic when he shelled out $200,000 of his own money to pay minor leaguers' expenses. Every minor leaguer in the Dodgers organization get $1,000 from David, but he's just trying to be a good teammate and be unselfish and do what's best to help the team win. 1-2 to Bowers. Jake Bowers takes low. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The Dodgers, as far as their decisions with their starting pitching, have interesting decisions to make. There are some ball clubs that are saying we're going to have to make a decision to find 5 guys to fill out the starting rotation. The Dodgers have to trim down to 5 guys.
That's why the phone lines will be busy to the Dodgers.
Exactly.
And anytime a guy pitches as a non-roster invite for the Dodgers, you're not just pitching for the Dodgers, you're auditioning perhaps for somebody else.
Yeah, I got a good shot of Mark Meyer, the pitching coach, just watching David Price as he watches every pitcher that is on the mound. And Mark Meyer, now the full-time pitching coach, taking over for Rick Honeycutt, but he was intimately familiar with all of the Dodger pitchers as well, and now trying to learn even more about David Price because they did not have him around last year except for spring training, the brief time.
Price opting out last year.
But I remember last year, it was a year ago today, the Dodgers were scheduled to play the A's. It was a split squad. Dodgers had one group that was going over to Mesa, I believe, to play against the Cubs, and David Price was scheduled to start at Camelback Ranch, Glendale. Getting ready to do the broadcast, and then about 2 hours before the game we got the word coming down, this thing called COVID-19, which hopefully we're going to see that dissipate big time and very soon.
Major League Baseball put out their testing numbers today so far, and they are very good, actually. Very positive. We did see where Joey Votto of the Reds tested positive this week. He's been put on the IL, but of well over 14,000 tests in the last week or so, they had 2 positive tests. That is a positivity rate of 0.01.
Well, they're also taking care of business because the Indians had 2 players that broke COVID protocols. Jose Ramirez and Franmil Reyes. And so they were told, look, you've got to stay away for 5 days.
Perez drops one into center field for a hit. And move Bowers up to second base.
Baseball has done a wonderfully good job, fantastic job, in trying to make sure that they keep all the personnel healthy, follow the protocols that have been examined and look at it from a scientific standpoint, and then it's up to the players and the coaches and the managers and the personnel. And kudos to baseball because they've responded exceptionally well.
Oscar Mercado bounced out to Chris Taylor to start the third inning. 0 for 1 today. A 2 on and 1 out. David Price facing Mercado here. Inside for ball 1. Mike Malinsky, home plate umpire today. Dodgers have seen a lot of him recently. Chris Guccione and Ryan Blakeney, Jansen Visconti are rotating on the bases. And the umpires get to a point in spring training too where the guys on the bases won't rotate as much as they get close to the start of the regular season. But each game, each umpire gets 3 innings at each station, so they get a look every day. They can work on those positions every day. There's a bouncer to third. Turner, Taylor, Muncy. Double play. Getting over. David Price got the pitcher's best friend there. 2-0 Cleveland. Going. But Perez looks a little slimmed down, doesn't he? Lost 25 pounds in the offseason, he said. Veteran catcher. Got a new trainer this year, and at age 32, he says, I'm not getting any younger. I've got to be in better shape, and he dropped 25.
Lost the weight and hope he doesn't find it.
He was up to 230 last year at the end of the year, and I think he just said enough's enough. Max Muncy 0 for 1. Swings and hits a high fly ball left field and gone. Second hit of the spring for Muncy is a round tripper, and the Dodgers on the board. It's 2-1.
Max Muncy last year did not hit for the high average, but boy was he productive in the middle of the lineup and in the number 4 spot in today's game. And when you are able to handle the balls on the outer third of the plate, that one was an outer maybe fifth of the plate, and just stay with it and still be able to power the ball out of the ballpark. And there's no wind like it was a few days ago, 25 miles an hour blowing out. Yeah, stay hot.
Yeah. Justin Turner pouring water over his towel covered face. Well, because of the way the Dodgers have been really not hitting much in this game, that's the first hit the Dodgers have today. It's going to mean the regulars, if they're planning on getting them 3 at-bats each, will stay in this game longer.
Yeah. It's not that hot, but they need to cool him off.
Probably feels good on a 61-degree day. After hitting the ball the other way out, feels good anyway. The ball 1 to Turner. Taylor, rather. Like I said, Turner. Taylor. Beg your pardon. And Chris walked in the second inning. Stephan deals outside. Stephan out of the University of Arkansas. Magnolia, Texas native. It's been as high as Double-A with the Yankees organization. Was in Trenton in 2019, but he'd been in the Florida State League in Tampa. He actually repeated it. It was at what was then the advanced A level. 18 and 19. We talk about high A, low A, advanced A, and high A are the same thing, but there's some changes this year in minor league baseball as to which cities are going to have which levels of A ball. As Taylor smacks one into center field for a base hit.
We talked about larger bases in Triple-A. Double-A is going to have a different rule than MLB. Ball it's up in the strike zone and a little bit up the bat, not hit exceptionally hard, but Double-A defensive positioning. And defensive teams have to have a minimum of 4 players on the infield, each of whom must have both feet completely in front of the outer boundary of the infield dirt, which is the grass. So MLB says it's going to try this to increase the batting average on balls put into play. And then they may require 2 infielders to be positioned entirely on each side of second base in the second half of the season in Double-A this coming season.
1-0 pitch to Barnes, who hit into a double play his last time up. He goes the other way, a long way. Naylor back, and he won't get it. Taylor heading to third base on a long shot to right by Austin Barnes.
Well, not played particularly well by Naylor, because off a right-handed bat, the ball is going to tail to his left as it goes back. But he turned to his right and got crossed up, and then by the time he tries to turn back the other way, the ball's off the end of the webbing of the glove.
So the first 12 batters of the game went 0 for 11 with a walk. Taylor was the guy that walked, and now the last 3 batters are 3 for 3 with a double and a home run. That's baseball. That's how it goes. Edwin Rios takes a strike. I think that'll be interesting to see the defensive positioning in Double-A this year and the data that's collected and how that all works out. I guess you could still do a modified shift if you have to have 2 players on either side. That one is stabbed by the pitcher Stephan. He goes to first, and Rios is out. Runners hold.
Nice play, nice reactions by Stephan just in the ball game. They're backing up a few bases.
As you see where the shortstop Jimenez was positioned there close to second base, I guess in Double-A, if they do require the 2 infielders on each side of the bag, second base bag, you could position a guy right next to it to play up the middle.
Yep.
And it still means you could take your third baseman and play him over in the hole.
And the infield is going to be not all the way in tightly. They're going to try and shut off the runners at second and at third.
Tying run at third. Go ahead in scoring position at second base. Strike 1 to McKinstry. We're talking about the different levels of A ball this year. Rancho Cucamonga, the Quakes, will not be in advanced A this year. That will be in the Midwest League. Great Lakes will be the high A team for the Dodgers. That was as Major League Baseball reconfigured the minor leagues. So the Cal League now is going to be a low A league all the way across the board. And they add a triple A city in Fresno where the Rockies will put their low A club.
And the high A has a different rule that they are going to be using. It involves the pitcher.
McKinstry grounds it off the pitcher. And safe is Taylor. So that ties the game at 2. Chris Taylor did the slide by slide, catching the plate with his hand.
Well, this ball is a rocket. Stefano made a good play on the ball that Rios hit, not quite able to get the glove on this one, hit his leg. And a good jump at third by Chris Taylor as well.
No new ball game, 1 out. Go ahead run is at third, and they're just checking to see if Stephan's okay after taking one off the body.
Very quickly in high A ball, the pitchers will be required to, quote, disengage the rubber prior to throwing to any base with the penalty of a balk in the event the pitcher fails to comply. They tried this rule in the Atlantic League 2 years ago, and they did see a significant increase in the number of stolen base attempts So they're going to adopt that rule in high A. And then as you're referring to as low A, they're going to use robot umpires, and there will be pickoff limits. The number of pickoff attempts that you can do, and those will also change. So if you change leagues, it's going to be different rules.
So when you get called up, you get a crash course.
But the electronic strike zone was used in the Independent Atlantic League before going to the Arizona Fall League. So that's going to be in low A this year.
Pitch outside to DJ Peters, who is 0 for 1.
And I don't know how they sell this to the umpires, because they listed as electronic strike zone will assist home plate umpires with calling balls and strikes.
If I remember right, I think, and of course we're always here, but we're not at those games. We don't see. But if I remember right, I think the home plate umpire has an earpiece.
Yeah.
And is told whether it's a ball or a strike, and he will make the call. But the robotic umpire subject a very sore one with the guys who wear the blue shirts.
There was a quote from an umpire, very well respected umpire, 40 years ago, Harry Wendelstedt, whose son Hunter is a major league umpire now. And here's the quote from Harry Wendelstedt about electronic umpires. Now, this statement was made now like 50 years ago. He said if they did get a machine to replace this, you know what would happen to it? Why, the players would bust it to pieces every time it ruled against them. They'd clobber it with a bat. And in low A, they're going to have a chance to clobber it with a bat this year.
There's just a lot of things that Major League Baseball is looking at. The advancements in technology. How can they use that technology to make the game better? And so after the Atlantic League experiments last year, they're going to put it into affiliated baseball this year. It's DJ Peters hits a high fly ball, third base side, and under it is Jose Ramirez for the second out. So DJ Peters 0 for 2.
So at the low A, electronic umpires.
Yep.
And pitchers will be limited to a total of 2 step-offs or pickoffs per plate appearance while there is at least 1 runner on base. Then they lower it even more to have just 1 pickoff per batter with a runner on base. So I think it's a good thing that they're going to get a chance to look and see how it works. Pace of game is an issue they'll be looking at as well, and what it does. Does it change the overall face of the game?
Certainly something we'll follow all summer. You know, the throwovers, the step-offs and the throwovers to first base, it reminds me, remember in Montreal when the pitcher would throw over there that had that chicken sound that would play over the PA?
Yes.
And the video up on the...
You mean that annoying... And that one graphic that looked like it had been done with an etch-a-sketch?
Exactly.
Yeah, that one?
That one. Yeah. Yep. One and one to A.J. Pollock. A.J. hits a ground ball toward the middle. Jimenez picks it up. Goes the short way to get the force out. That retires the side. But the Dodgers get on the board. Max Muncy with an opposite field shot. As he hits this one high and deep. 2-2. How is that going to be enforced for left-handed pitchers, do you think? They're going to have to step off and throw Step back and throw that way?
It's a good question, because a left-hander has the ability to do the same thing that a right-handed pitcher would have at third base with a right.
And but a handful of years ago, you can either say they put the rule in or took the rule out, where you can't, as a right-handed pitcher, you couldn't bluff to third, fake to first anymore, because they felt it was too much of a maneuver to deceive the runner. Although, how many times have you ever seen that work?
Well, it's like you can't really balk unless you don't come set to second base.
Right.
Well, why is that rule? Is a balk not a balk? No.
2-2, 3-2.
And a balk is in the eye of the beholder.
I guess so.
And it'd be the umpire that'd be holding it.
Maybe the retired umpire, Bob Davidson, who earned the nickname Balking Bob.
Bob?
Yeah.
He saw the balk better than any umpire.
Take the rest of the afternoon somewhat off. But here's James Karinchak, who the Indians have a lot of high hopes for. And honestly, if you play for the Indians, why wouldn't you want to wear number 99? Except he's probably not the Wild Thing. But the character that Charlie Sheen played in the Major League movies wore number 99 in an Indian uniform. And he would name his pitches too, like the Terminator. That was probably it. And then the Eliminator and a few others. One pitch from Karinchak to Corey Seager. Missed outside, 2-1. And now the 2-1 delivery. And that's inside. So in spite of the fact Buehler gave up a couple of runs today, Dodger pitching's been pretty good coming into this game. The Dodger staff led the Cactus League in ERA, just a tick over 3. And they maintain the lowest opponent's average at 215 against. That one's into right field. Jake Bauers tried to flag that one down. And now Seager is aboard. The Dodgers have the go-ahead man on to start the 6th.
Looked like the ball had some topspin, because when the glove was put down, the ball just scooted right underneath it. So Seager gets the base hit, and he'll get a pinch runner.
Elliott Soto will run for Seager. Start to see some new guys in. Apologies to Zach Rex, by the way. Kind of slipped him in there in left field. We didn't see him for Pollock last inning, and he had the last put out. This is that time of the game. But Turner still in the 6th. We'll see Muncy with another round of at-bats, and at-bat. Chris Taylor, because the fact the Dodgers had 3 men come to the plate in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th innings, the regulars staying in the game longer to get their 3rd round of at-bats.
Yeah, but I would imagine after this at-bat, Turner will go adios. I imagine Muncy will go right with him.
Just outside.
Karinchak last year, not certain how much Turner knows about it, but Karinchak, abbreviated season last year, but for every 9 innings, if you put all the numbers together, he's in there for 9 innings. Struck out over 17. He was on a strikeout pace.
The Indians really like him.
I read one story is that Terry Francona was talking about Karinchak. It says he has a chance to be one of the elite pitchers.
He's set at the belt. Soto off of first, and the pitch by Justin Turner. We were talking about naming pitches. You know, the best story I've ever heard about that comes from Bob Kendrick, who is the president of the Negro Leagues Museum in Kansas City. Great story about Satchel Paige. And this one is up the middle and a base hit. Justin Turner with a single. He's 1 for 3. 2 hits to start the top half of the 6th inning.
I don't know if we're going to get a shot at it. That was hit almost at the camera, and it looked like it was a knuckleball because look at the flight of the ball. It goes to left and then back to right again. Look at it. I mean, it's a knuckleball. You can see the seams on it.
So Turner knuckles one into center field, and now he'll take the rest of the afternoon off.
A Charlie Huff base hit.
Yeah. There it is again.
Watch, you can see the seams. I mean, if you got a close-up, you can see the commissioner's signature on that baseball.
Max Muncy, Soto at first base, second base rather, pitching the dirt. Just to finish up that story about Satchel Paige that Bob Kendrick tells, is he said that Satchel Paige he named all his pitches, and he said one of them was the B-ball. And I'd say, why is it the B-ball? And he'd say, because Satchel would say, because it be where I want it to be when I want it to be there. Devin Mann is running at first base. Muncy looks at a curve inside. Stretch by Karinchak. Dodgers threatening with 2 on and nobody out, and Muncy fouls it back. You ever been there to that museum?
No, I've been to it. Was going to go in. We wound up having lunch. I forget what the heck it was. I think it closed early on the day that we had off. They were just redoing it. And having played in Kansas City initially with the A's before it moved to Oakland, there was a great history in that town to begin with.
Yeah, it's a great tour, and I highly recommend it to anybody who has time and finds himself in Kansas City to stop by there and take the tour. I know that many players have been supportive. Major League Baseball is partnering with them, and it's a tremendous museum with great history in there. And if you're lucky enough to get Bob Kendrick to give you the tour, it's like a living documentary. He's fabulous. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Max Muncy. Dodgers 2, Cleveland 2. Top of the 6th inning. They'll play 8 today. Expecting 8 full innings. Freeman, the new shortstop, Elliott Freeman. Arias is at second base. Clement is at third for Cleveland. Muncy pops this one up in the air. Left side of the infield. And there's Clement with the catch. 1 out. That's going to do it for Max for the afternoon. And Chris Taylor, a chance now to get the go-ahead run in. Soto at second base. He's been on base twice. Walked in the second inning and singled and scored in the fifth. Dodgers' first dozen hitters today, 0 for 11 and a walk. That was Taylor's walk. We mentioned this before, but the last 10 are 6 for 10 with a double and a homer. Muncy with the home run in the fifth inning. Oh, and 1 to Chris Taylor. Karinchak ready to throw. He buries one for a 1-1 count.
How about Kansas City and the great history is it with that museum too? Is it number 2? Is it the Kansas City Monarchs were there? Buck O'Neill comes to mind immediately. Elston Howard played there for a while.
Taking the curveball for a strike.
I had the pleasure of introducing Buck O'Neill at a awards dinner one night, and I told a story about a former player that just really encouraged and had about a 30-minute meeting with a rookie years and years ago, and the rookie was struggling. And what that former player said to that rookie really took hold. And as I introduced Buck O'Neill, I thanked him because it was me that he spoke to my rookie year. One of the most gracious gentlemen I've ever met, who got up and accepted the award. But before he accepted the award, he got everyone in that place. He began to sing as he got to the podium. And then he encouraged other people to sing. Before it was all, everyone in the ballroom was singing with Buck O'Neill. And that's the presence he had. Talk about a great ambassador for the game of baseball.
And a Kansas City legend. Taylor hits the 2-2 foul. Chris Taylor out of University of Virginia. Other family members play at Virginia Tech. I asked him once, how did you get away from Virginia Tech? He said, oh, they didn't recruit me. I said, really? How does that work? And there was a history there already. But he was a star for the Cavaliers. That's outside.
Good take. And a good pitch.
Still think of the throw that he made on the hit by Manny Machado in San Diego. The throw that he made home to complete the game-ending double
Wonderful
play.
Throw.
I mean, he just does so much. Sometimes things do go unnoticed. It's a foul ball, actually. Yeah.
When Taylor made that throw, I didn't think there was a chance in the world because, if memory is correct, the runner was already one stride past the third base bag.
And that throw had to be on the money, which it was.
And Chris Taylor admitted right after the ball game and into the game right there is the best throw he's ever made in his life.
It was in a big game against the Padres at the time, and the Padres were right in the rear view mirror of the Dodgers. They had snuck up behind them in the standings. And then as time would go on, the Dodgers would put a comfortable cushion in front. They'd end up winning the division by 6 games. A lot of folks are looking forward to the series with San Diego this year. There should be 19 pretty good games. Pretty fun games to watch. 3-2 foul back. But there's a lot of things this season that we'll go back to that'll be so much the same, but different from last year. The way the schedule is, which when you're in baseball, that's what you live by. Your entire life goes by the schedule, no matter what role you have with a club. One out, two on, and the payoff pitch coming from Karinchak to Chris Taylor. And that's through. And rounding third is Soto. Throw up the line. Dodgers lead it 3-2. Chris Taylor drives in the go-ahead run.
Well, how big was it when Taylor took the 2-2 pitch? Which is a terrific pitch by Karinchak because he was trying to get him to offer. It was just outside. Then he fouled off one 3-2 pitch. I believe it was 9-pitch at bat. And for Taylor, gets the Dodgers up on top. Just a terrific sequence of pitches that either fouled them off or took them and delivers the big RBI.
So veteran pitching coach Carl Willis will come out, puts his hand on the shoulder of Karinchak. And he's making the pitching change. Carl Willis been around quite a long time. And the Indians will bring a left-hander in. First and third, one out. Dodgers lead for the first time today. So Kirk McCarty, 13 starts 2 years ago in single A. So he's not pitched above A ball. But apparently last year continued to work hard and develop still. And here he is in a spring training game. So Devin Mann, the runner at second base. Chris Taylor is at first, and Austin Barnes getting his third at bat this afternoon. Miguel Vargas running at first for Taylor. Here's the pitch on the way. That's up. 2 balls, no strikes. There's a strike. But tomorrow, by the way, is an organizational day off. No game scheduled. It's the first day off of the spring. Day off in baseball is relative, by the way, because I guarantee you someone's going to be working somewhere. But no game tomorrow. Austin Barnes gets under this one and hits it deep to left and gone. A home run for Barnes. Austin Barnes with a 3-run shot. And the Dodgers now lead it 6-2.
Well, pitch selection. Gets a good pitch. Watch the barrel of the bat come through the hitting zone. He just went down, got it, had some backspin on it. Barnes knew it was gone the moment he hit it.
Four runs in the inning for the Dodgers. 2 home runs in the game, Barnes and Muncy. And Barnes, when he hit into the inning-ending double play in the second inning, after that he went 2 for 2 with a double and a 3-run shot. So big day for him. Matt Davidson batting in the DH spot for Rios. And a bouncer to the left side. It's picked up by Clement. Fires on to first to get him. Davidson out. 2 men out on the Dodgers 6th. So I mentioned tomorrow the day off. Back at it on the 14th. On Sunday Julio Urias will pitch against Kansas City.
And Burns is going to come on and pinch hit for McKinstry.
McKinstry went 1 for 2 with a run batted in, and Andy Burns clobbers one down toward the left field corner, but it's hooking foul. Two out, bases clear. Dodgers up 6-2, looking for their 7th spring training win. They have been unbeaten in the last 4 games. McCarty deals high and away. Three and 1. So Dodgers on Sunday night against Kansas City, then 4 straight day games next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Rockies, Brewers, White Sox, Diamondbacks. Oh, what a play by Clement. Just stole a double from Burns. Eddie Burns smoked that down the line, but a great play by the Cleveland third baseman. Well, with 2 on, Austin Barnes got around on this one and drove it a long way to give the Dodgers a 6-2 lead. 6 hits and no errors. Evan Rios in between A.J. Pollock and Chris Taylor. They're heading out now. Their work on the field here is done. Justin Turner joining them, as well as Max Muncy. Scott Alexander will take over the pitching duties. David Price, 2 solid innings. The left-hander 0-1 in spring training. This will be the 4th time he's appeared in a game. So Scott Alexander. He has himself a new catcher. Keibert Ruiz making his spring training debut. Pitch to Eddie Rosario, swing and a miss. Ruiz got to camp late. That's what Dave Roberts described as visa issues. So he had to leave Venezuela, got to the United States through the Dominican Republic, and then once he got to the U.S. made his way to Arizona. 0-1 pitch from Alexander. In the air to left. And it's carrying well. Back to the wall is Rex, and he makes the grab. 1 out.
Well, just kept carrying. Oh, the visas used to be one way that at times there were players that used that as a way to not have to report as early to spring training as maybe the calling card was. Joe DiMaggio once told me, he says he was always late to spring training. He said everybody thought I was holding out. No, so I just didn't want to be there that early. And sometimes it paid off financially for him to say, hey, I'm not going to be there.
0-1 pitch to Franmil Reyes. Nothing at 2. Well, he had kind of a track record. He could probably get away with more than most.
You think?
Yankee Clipper.
Yankee Clipper.
Reyes and then Naylor to face Alexander. Keibert Ruiz calling for that ball low. See him putting the backside of that glove down in the dirt, and that's where the ball goes.
And for Reyes, you don't want to leave it out over the plate. Full season, the last one, 2019, at 37 home runs. Cleveland and San Diego still hit 9 home runs, knocked in 34 runs last year.
Inside and low. For Ruiz, speaking of last year, Ruiz made his major league debut last year on the 16th of August against the Angels. Got to start a game, and in his first major league at bat, he took a 1-1 pitch from Julio Teheran and drove it over the wall. It was in the 3rd inning. Strike 3 called as Alexander stands up Franmil Reyes. 2 down. But Ruiz, one of those guys that had a home run in his first major league at bat. And then afterwards, his teammates were saying, "Oh, hey, baseball's easy. It's all downhill from here. You know, it's really easy to hit home runs at this level." Well, it really isn't. But they were all happy for him, what happened. But when he started that game, he became the youngest starting catcher for a Dodger at age 20 since Gianna Navarro started a game in 2005 when he was 21. Naylor takes strike 2.
Well, for Ruiz, we kept hearing about him from a gentleman that I put a lot of stock in. And he says, watch this young player, Pat Corrales, former major league catcher and now an advisor of the Dodgers, telling us for years about Reyes, and we finally had a good look at him. Brief look, but last year.
There's a ground ball to Soto at short. That should take care of things as Scott Alexander uses the turbo sinker to have a quick 1-2-3 inning and finish it off with a ground ball out. Just coming. Did you know it snowed in Las Vegas yesterday? Well, that might have been even early this morning. I saw a video of that. It snows there occasionally, but
snow level
not
went down
March.
locally here to 2,500 feet. I say here, we are in studios in El Segundo. We are not in Arizona.
Well, DJ Johnson is. DJ Johnson last 2 seasons with the Colorado Rockies organization. Had a career high 28 appearances with the Rockies last year, 7th the year before. DJ Peters smacks one foul and out of play. It's a DJ against DJ. DJ Peters. DJ Johnson.
And a DJ played the walk-up music.
Curveball drops in there for a strike, but that's nothing like the Will Smith against Will Smith battle.
No.
It was won by Will Smith. It was guaranteed Will Smith was going to win that battle. And the right one did. 0-2 pitch to Peters. DJ is a physical specimen. He can hit the baseball a long way. Trying to do it more often and with more consistency. I mean, really just making the hard contact more consistently. The home runs will happen once you do that, won't they?
When you're that big and that strong, yes. The biggest start in one of the improvements that we've seen, at least in spring training, limited sample size, no question about it. Pitch recognition and for the most part better analysis of his strike zone.
I know you talked about pitch selection with Austin Barnes. I think we talked about it at the open of the telecast with Corey Seager. But what is the key to being a hitter and knowing when to select a good pitch?
You have to see the ball first of all. I taught from day one of the spring games is you have to retrain your eyes again as a hitter to pick up the baseball at the release point. What's the hand position? Where is the hand that releases the ball? Are you seeing the palm of the hand when it releases? You're seeing the side of the hand, maybe on a breaking ball at release point.
So DJ Peters walks down to first base.
The score will also indicate what you're going to be trying to do. You have to be even more patient if you're behind. It's late in the ball game, taking pitches, trying to make the guys work, especially if you're trying to get into the bullpen. The count. If there's a history view with this particular pitcher, what's that history, and are you aware of it? But hitters also need to know, well, they know where they want the ball. What areas of the plate do they not handle particularly?
Wild pitch will move the runner up, and Peters with a huge turnaround second base. We'll have to go back. Thoughts about going to third.
Well, home plate umpire would say no, just time out one base.
Pitch to Zach Rex. There's Rope down the right field side. That's going to be in for a hit. That wild pitch will end up being costly for Cleveland as DJ Peters comes in to score easily on an RBI base hit for Zach Rex, and it's 7-2.
Quick bat, very solid setup to begin with.
Soto playing shortstop. He's been a good performer at the AAA level and had been in the minor leagues a long time, so rewarded last year with a call-up by the Angels. And here trying to do something in the Dodger organization.
Dodgers in these spots last year with a sizable lead. You go back to last year, and this is a 7-2 lead. But last year when they scored 4 runs or more, not a bad record at all. 26 wins, 5 losses.
And snapped in for a strike, 1-1.
Of course, the overall record to begin with of the season, you look at it and go, wait, misprint? No. 43 wins, 17 losses.
Gives you a winning percentage of .717. To right field, and that's going to dunk in. Soto with a hit. Rex goes first to third. Like Rex had a good read off of first base in that opposite field single by Soto.
Soto smiling. The sound off the bat was a clunk. He jammed himself, and this was just a little flare. Arias did something that you normally don't want to see a fielder do, and that's to reach down with the glove only to field the baseball. When you go down with both hands, you go down with a bare hand, not with a glove. Why? Well, if you drop it, you have to go back down, pick it up again. What do the runners do? They continue.
Devin Mann with a check swing foul ball. Devin Mann had some choices out of high school. All good opportunities for him. Western Kentucky, Virginia Tech, Kentucky. And he ended up going to Louisville and starring there with the Cardinals.
I like to have that pitch back.
Understand that this is a guy that if you're not very good at billiards, you probably don't want to play against. Man's a good pool player. Pitch inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Devin Mann against DJ Johnson. Bo Taylor, the new catcher for Cleveland. Still 1-2. All right, Kelly Leak got it. I think number 12, wasn't that Tanner Boyle for the Bad News Bears? Look at that catch. But see, Kelly Leak covers the outfield. He catches everything. Coach Buttermaker told him to.
That number there?
12.
Oh, the other one.
Which number?
Yeah, the guy's wearing on his back.
Oh, for Chico's bail bonds. Yeah, I got that's on my speed dial. Are you kidding me? Right there. Let freedom ring. That's the carbon copy from the movie.
Saw that sign when I visited the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia.
Which one? Chico's bail bonds? Keibert Ruiz after the man strikeout. So first spring training at bat for Ruiz. Top catching prospect for the Dodgers. One of the top catching prospects in all of baseball. One out, runners at the corners. And it went way inside. Pitch. And Ruiz strokes it down the right field line. One run is in as Rex scores. And the relay to the plate. And Soto's going to score as he swims home. So, welcome back, Keibert Ruiz. A little late to the party, but he is ready to go. First spring training AB gets a 2-run hit.
He went down and got it. Dodgers beginning of the 5th inning, 5th, 6th, and here in the 7th have put on their hitting shoes.
Yeah, they had to find him after the first couple of innings. First 4 innings.
They've been nailed to the floor, but for Keibert Ruiz, you mentioned the fact his first major league at bat. He had a 1-1 pitch. He became the 127th player to hit a home run in his first MLB at bat.
Raining. Here comes the precipitation. And maybe with the score 9-2, Cleveland doesn't mind so much. Got some rain in the area in Goodyear. Let's see it. Yeah, I can hear it. Fans heading for dry ground. DJ Johnson, meanwhile, staring back at Ruiz, now comes home to Vargas. That out's pretty clear. Everybody hiding underneath, except for Dave. And Vargas lifts one in the air to right field, looking up into the raindrops. Is Benson. He makes the catch, throw on to third base. And Ruiz safe at second.
And it's an uncle inning.
Yeah, so it's an uncle for the Indians. Inning is over. The Dodgers strike for a few more. Keibert Ruiz with a 2-run double.